plus.
Time.
Mayor Pro Tem at 7.
7 o'clock, all right. Welcome to the regular meeting of the City Council of Helotes. Today is July 23rd. The time is 7 o'clock. If we could all rise for the invocation, if we can get Fire Chief Moreland, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
If you would all please bow and pray with me. Lord, please help us this evening in remembering our friends to our west and southwest who were affected by the floods last week. Pray for their well-being. Also pray for our city leaders that they can make informed, logical decisions and help improve the life and the lifestyle of the people of Helotes. In this we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, if you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right. We'll get things going tonight. We got two proclamations. We're going to start off with the Historical Society of Helotes, and I called the president up, yourself also,
Yes,
being
I
on
would
the
like-
executive committee.
My executive board, please come up. My board member, the board.
I promise not to sneeze.
All right, that's a lot to read, though.
Is it going to be?
Bossy.
Oh, she's not ordering your one, I promise.
All right, let's read this. It's a proclamation recognizing the 60th anniversary of the Historical Society of Helotes. Whereas the Historical Society of Helotes was founded in 1966 with a mission to preserve, protect, and promote the rich history and cultural heritage of our community. And whereas for 6 decades, the Society has safeguarded historical landmarks, curated archives, and shared stories to connect generations, ensuring that the legacy of our past remains a living part of our present and future. Whereas, through educational programs, exhibitions, publications, and community events, the Society has inspired the light. Countless Helotes residents and visitors to appreciate the value of our history and shaping our shared identity. And whereas the dedication of Society's members, volunteers, supporters has strengthened civic pride, fostered a deeper understanding of the people, places, and events that have defined our community. And whereas this year, 2026, marks the 60th anniversary of Historical Society of Helotes, a milestone that reflects both the enduring importance of its mission and the unwavering commitment of those who serve it. Now, therefore, I, by Mayor Rich Whitehead, on behalf of members of the City Council, by virtue of the authority invested in the Mayor of the City of Helotes, do hereby recognize and commend the Helotes, or the Historical Society of Helotes, for 60 years of exemplary service in preserving our heritage and encouraging all citizens to join in celebrating this remarkable achievement. I witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused this seal to be affixed by Mayor Rich Whitehead. Yes, I am. We got other members. I saw Mr. Kruger back there.
Oh, wait, you got a corresponding secretary?
Yeah.
What? You get out here, let's have pictures.
Sorry.
Yeah, Reese. You guys come on up too, the members. Yeah. Yeah, just one with the board real fast.
Ready? Yes. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Okay, now all board members,
Other members, Mr. Kruger, you want to come up?
Artie, Barbara. Come on, let's go. Astrid, come on.
I'm not
Yes. Oh. She's a member.
Oh, I didn't even see that right there. I got it. Aerial view.
Oh,
With room.
You got it? I'm sure it's not the best picture, but.
Oh, it's the best picture.
I just wanted to just say a few words. First of all, thank you to the Historical Society board members and the members who came. We couldn't do this without this board. And you'll notice the coasters that are on your desk. They were specially made by my son-in-law, who is a U.S. Army warrant officer and helicopter pilot, and he does this on the side. And I asked him, each one is individually done, so they all are just slightly different. So I just wanted, I commissioned him to make these for the city council and for our board. So that's what that's for. And I thank you, city council, for everything you do. I know the hard work that you put in to the city, and thank you for supporting us. Appreciate
We
it.
get to keep this?
Yes, those are yours. Those are yours.
Beautiful, beautiful.
I will make sure they get them. Maybe.
This is yours. But I do have another one for the representatives of national payroll. There we are. Come on up.
Would somebody mind taking a picture for me? I'm sorry, when we get evidence.
All right. What we have here is a proclamation for the National Payroll Week of 2026. And we'll read the whole thing, see how we do on this one. We'll draw them out towards the end there. Whereas payroll professionals play a vital role in ensuring employees are paid accurately and on time while supporting compliance with federal, state, and local tax and wage laws. And whereas payroll professionals help support the economic well-being of workers, businesses, and communities by administering wages, tax withholding, unemployment insurance contributions, child support deductions, and other important financial obligations. And whereas payroll professionals contribute to the financial security of millions of American workers and their families through the commitment to accuracy, integrity, and service. And whereas payroll professionals work closely with employers and government agencies to promote compliance, improve processes, and educate workers about the importance of understanding the paychecks, the payroll-related responsibilities, and whereas National Payroll Week is observed annually during the week in which Labor Day falls to recognize contributions of payroll professionals to celebrate the American workforce. Now, therefore, on behalf of Mayor Rachel Whitehead, together with City Council, I do hereby proclaim September 7th through 11th, 2026 as National Payroll Week in the city of Helotes, and encourage all residents to recognize the valuable contributions of all payroll professionals.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for this. I really appreciate it, and thank you for supporting us, and y'all, and finish up, I guess, whatever y'all have to do. I'm so sorry. But thank you so much. Y'all have a wonderful week.
I forgot to mention, we're going to be leaving.
Oh, yeah.
But I just wanted to mention that the Historical Society's new museum gallery piece is up here in the galleries, and it's about the 60th anniversary. So when you have a chance, go and look at it. And we're having a little party at the Old Town Park. What is it called? The Family Park. So you're all are welcome to come. I think we'll be there when the meeting's over. Just don't stay too long at the meeting. Thank you again.
Thank you for mentioning the little guy. I've totally forgot about it. All right. Well, that was fun. All right. Mr. City Manager, any announcements on your behalf?
City Administrator has no announcements at this time, sir.
Thank you. All right, open session. Let's see. Citizens to be heard. We have one. The City Council shall not discuss or present any issue nor take any action on any issue presented at this time. We have Amy Brigham. Please, you have 3 minutes. Please state your name and your address.
Hi, Amy Burrell, 10,006 Lazy J Trail, Helotes Park Estates, 78023. Please forgive me, I don't know what vim is, but I don't have a lot of vigor because I'm kind of under the weather and a little bit of a Sudafed cloud. I come here tonight not to point any fingers, but more to ask questions. Obviously, the elephant in the room is the tree. It's been a big topic of discussion on social media this week, and I would like to know how to advocate more strongly for protections to preserve heritage trees. My understanding at this point, and it is very confusing to me as a citizen, is that per Chapter 94 of the City Code ordinances, any tree that's over 4 feet tall and that is 2 feet around, 24 inches around, is considered a heritage or protected tree. This tree would have met those conditions, yet obviously the plan was approved by P&Z in the first iteration, approved by council, and then I was informed that they were going to come back with a second iteration to protect the tree. So I guess what I'm not understanding is how did we get to the point that P&Z and City Council approved that change? Is it that if it's on city property, it's protected, and if it's on private property, I'm not sure how that was kind of skirted around. And I know that it's been mentioned that protecting trees could be a hindrance to further city growth, which I think is a fallacy and I think is detrimental to planning for the city. I just don't understand. There's an incongruence for me as a citizen in how this got to this point and how this tree got cut down. I am obviously sad the tree is gone, okay? It's gone, and there's nothing to be done about it now. But I'd like to know how I, as a citizen, and, looking at comments, what I've seen is that we need to petition what I can do as a citizen to improve protections for these trees. As an addendum, I want to say that EDC.
Thank you so much. I do encourage you to, if you'd like, we're going to be talking later in the agenda about vegetation, if you'd like to stay. I got a text that maybe we need to check the audio.
That was me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. No other citizens to be heard? Nobody online?
Nobody else.
Okay. All right. So we see here. 7:14, we'll call citizens to be heard closed. Moving on to consent agenda. Looking for a motion in a second to approve consent agenda item for the number 6 for the minutes of the regular meeting dated July 9th, 2026. Cato, motion.
I second it.
Caraway. Any discussion?
None.
None? All right. All in favor of approving consent agenda item as number 6 as written, say aye.
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 And opposed? 5-0, motion carries. All right, moving on to individual consideration items. Looking for a motion in a second on discussion and action on a request from CSW Shanefield LP to amend the plot for Shanefield Commercial at FM 1560 by modifying internal boundary lines between lots 2 and 3 and establishing lots 2A and 3A per Municipal Code of Ordinance, Chapter 78. Do we have a motion?
I'll do a motion to discuss and take action on number 7.
Caraway,
I'll second.
McGowan. All righty. Caraway.
It appears that this was the P and Z recommended approval, and it looks like it's just a replatting of a property line between 2 lots, I believe. So I don't have a problem with it. It doesn't create additional lots, it doesn't alter access, and it was on a previously approved plat. It looks like they're just making an adjustment between the 2 sections. So I have no issues with it.
No issues.
Issues? No issues. Greg?
No issues, thank you.
All right, do we have a representative from CSW Shanefield LP that would like to? Okay. All right. Looks like there's no further discussion or anything. So, all in favor of approving item number 7, the request by CSW Shanefield LP, owner to amend plots from Shanefield Commercial at FM 1560 by modifying the internal boundaries between lots 2 and 3 and establishing lots 2 and A, say aye.
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 Aye, 5-0, motion passes. All right, so number 8 is kind of in line with this one also. Looking for a motion and a second to discuss and take action on a request by CSW Shanefield LP for a conceptual design plan per Municipal Code of Ordinance, Chapter 98 zoning, Section 98-253, procedures and review standards, establishing the site idea for street-level investments, a self-storage facility located at 11443 Shanefield Road, and it's Bearcat property ID number 144-60666. And also it's including the site plan, the building design, and the exterior lighting. They're broke down into A and B. Do we have a motion? Cato, motion?
I'll second it.
Caraway, second. All right, Mr. Cato. No issues?
I have a few questions. I don't know if the staff can answer it. Regarding this landscape buffer that's reduced from 100 feet to 30, it says on the eastern and northern boundaries, do we anticipate any problems with the reduction?
So while Ms. Garcia is on the way, so I'll say that I have not received any word that would cause any challenges with that. We always have our professional staff to go through and look at different things. There's, as I understand it, there's no challenges from the professional staff. I didn't get any negative feedback from, especially fire, from that standpoint, because that's critically important for us to be able to get around the building.
So that buffer being reduced doesn't cause any danger or doesn't make it unsafe?
No, no, ma'am. We would not be supportive of the plan, neither with our engineers, if that was the case.
And then okay, so it says allowing the storage building to have a height not to exceed 45 feet. So is this higher than it normally is allowed?
That is correct. And if you scroll down a little bit, Selena, we actually did a, oh God, what is it? What did we do with them?
So
Prior agreement where they are able to go above that. So they're going to be doing a 3-story facility.
Right, so when this originally came to incorporate into the city, some of these boundaries or exceptions were already addressed, pre-addressed. And so the height and the number of stories was already pre-addressed in a prior city council action.
Okay, so that's already set, there's nothing to, okay. And the lighting is compliant, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
I don't
The
have,
building's not completely 3-story, it's kind of partially, right, because of the terrain or something like that?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
I don't have any other questions.
All right.
No questions.
Greg online?
Yes, I do have a question, please. I would like to just verify that they will be returning to P&Z and council for a proposed sign. I believe in one of the drawings, there's a spot for a sign, and I understand they obviously haven't developed it yet, but just verifying they will be returning for that approval.
That is correct, yes.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? All right, all in favor of item number 8 as written, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes 5-0. All right, moving on to number 9. Look for a motion on discussion and action on a request from Robert Lee Bowers for enhancement to the existing multi-tenant monument sign for Hill Country Crossing 2, the shopping center located at 12274 Bandera Road, Helotes, Texas, identified VCAD property ID number 2398598, and including the following. There's 2 items on it, an A and B. A variance allowing exceptions from the sign, from the size and height regulations in Municipal Code of Ordinance, Chapter 66, signs, and amendments to the existing master sign plan to coincide with the size and height changes to the multi-tenant monument sign per Municipal Code of Ordinance, Chapter 66, signs. And you have a motion.
I move to take discussion and action on item 9.
And Caraway,
I'll second.
Gowan, thank you.
I don't have any issues with it. I looked at the photos, I've seen the sign. It needs to be taller, definitely to be seen, so I don't have any issues.
Thank you.
I feel the same way. I drove by and it's very hard to see, particularly the last tenant, due to the, I guess, kind of the terrain, but also the concrete barrier is in the way. So.
Dave? No issue, all right. Greg online?
Yes, thank you. I would like to make sure that we're all aware that this is a request to increase the height, but also the size. And the P&Z recommendation was to acknowledge the height issue. And I think the images do point out that there's this issue, really this obstruction that's beyond the applicant's control. It makes sense to raise the height. However, I concur with P&Z that enlarging the sign itself for the purpose of enlarging the size of the sign, they're asking for, I think, about a 20% increase in the size of the sign. I don't think that is appropriate or necessary to address their primary concern, which is being able to be seen from the road more clearly, which raising the height would address. Now, perhaps I'm misinterpreting what they're asking, but if they're asking to increase the square footage of the signage itself, meaning the words, images on the sign, I would not support that, but I would support the raising the height of the sign.
I have to agree with him. I thought that that's all they were doing. I concur with what the P&Z was recommending, and I thought they were just clarifying. So if it needs clarification, yes, it would not enlarge the sign itself. So I guess I should say it as I concur with the P&Z.
Anything else?
No.
Dave. Anything else, Greg?
Well, I would just make sure, if my personal approach to the motion would be to argue that to propose that in the wording of the motion, that the variance be allowed for the height, but not the size, and to amend the existing master sign plan in the same fashion.
Would you entertain?
Okay, the problem though, when you say not increase the size, they do have to increase the size at the bottom. They're gonna have to add something to it, right, when they lift it. So I think maybe we could do what, I like the wording that the P and Z had, stipulating the signage area is not to be increased in size, only the base as shown in the application. So they do have to increase the size, but not the words, I guess. Is that what we say?
But not the
Yeah,
size.
yeah.
And if I may, so I fully understand the conversation, and just as illustrated on the screen currently, it is the intent of the applicant and the P and Z, I believe that they are in lockstep or in concurrent with each other, that lifting by 36 inches is the only adjustment, not the face of the signs and all that kind of stuff. It's just raising it up by 36 inches, not widening it and anything of that nature.
And that was my understanding attending the meeting, the P and Z meeting, is just because of the road construction, the cement barrier and the terrain, they just want to make it taller. So
Absolutely.
the whole thing.
Yes.
On the roadway.
Yeah, okay.
Are you good with the, as written?
Yes.
Okay. Any other conversation? All right. So all in favor of item number 9 as written, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Greg?
I oppose.
Opposed. All right, 4-1, motion carries. All right, item number 10 is looking for a motion and a second, a discussion and action on a request by Alamo Sign Solutions. They are the contractor, considering signage pursuant to Municipal Code of Ordinance, Chapter 66 for 7 Brew Helotes, located at 12405 Bandera Road, identified as BCAD property ID 239947. They are looking for an A and a B here, 3 business name wall signs pursuant to Municipal Code 66, with associated variances on the number of allowable wall signs, and 4 directional arrow signs pursuant to that's the word's kicking me today, Municipal Code of Ordinance, Chapter 66 signs with associated variances on required size. Do we have a motion?
I'll do a motion. I'm sorry, nobody.
Carol made motion.
Let's see.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
McGowan? All right.
I guess maybe somebody who can speak to this. I wanted to know the reason for the variances on the signs.
Sure.
Do we have,
Have a summary of that?
Yes, hello.
please step forward, your name and your business address.
James Alfaro from Alamo Sign Solutions,
Business address.
1731 South San Marcos Street, San Antonio, Texas.
You said James,
Alfaro, A-L-F as in Frank, A-R-O.
thank you. Okay.
Okay, and I was looking at the chart for where you're asking for the variance, and I believe that you're requesting 3 signs, when we normally have 1 sign per street or pedestrian way, which the building faces or abuts, with a maximum of 2 signs. Tell me about that.
So obviously it's for identification on the side that's showing in the strip center, and also on the, let me see if I can pull that up here on my paperwork. I think is it Caraway?
Yes.
Okay, so it's just basically identifying the business from those 2 points. The other reason for our variance request was for the number of wall signs depicting the drive-through. They kind of reduced the amount of signage and placed it on the wall to help condense signage being placed out individually. And they did that because a lot of this traffic pattern is going in two directions. So they just wanted to simply guide those people, not actually add signs individually, but they felt that it was okay to place them on the wall as a direction to give people guidance as to which way to go. So that's what we're kind of advocating for. And we understand that there's limitations with the city of Helotes with signage, but we think with what we have presented is a reduced amount of signage individually placed out in around the area. So we're hoping for you to see that they are working to reduce signage in the area to meet the city's needs, and hopefully that you will see that and welcome that.
Okay, and I think the second variance was the size. Was that?
Yes, it was, I believe it was 4.5 feet on the directional sign, was the request. And I believe the city wanted us to reduce it to 3. Again, it kind of goes back to the previous discussion where there's a lot of obstacles in the way on the Bandera side, and they wanted to elevate it a little bit so that way it's known to passersby that this is the drive-through way to get into that area. So they were just asking for that 4.5 foot clearance versus reducing it to 3. It's just a visibility issue is really all it is.
And on our paperwork, is that sign M? And you see you have sign M, which is closer to the building. And then you have sign D, which is out by the sidewalk on Van.
Yeah, sign D is the monument, I'm sorry, sign D is the directional, and sign M is the monument sign, and I believe that we are in agreement with that. The only discussion that we received from the city was that we add stone around the base of the sign to make it more
A lotus-like.
Helotes-like, yes, exactly. And also that directional sign there is black and white. It doesn't have a lot of color. So I know that City of Helotes doesn't like a lot of colors all over the place. So we did show that one in black and white. So hopefully.
And both of those signs will be both signs.
This particular sign, it would be the directional. The monument sign, which addresses M, would have the red and black.
Okay.
I don't have any other questions.
Okay. So just to confirm, the sign mark D, you would wrap the base of that in?
Yes, ma'am.
Like line?
There will be no pole exposure whatsoever. It will be wrapped with aluminum siding. Basically.
Siding,
Yeah,
okay.
we call it a skin.
Okay.
So no pole will be shown. And there'll be a concrete base on that as well.
I'm just kind of reading the signs, but I'm not a big fan of them 4.5 feet.
Okay.
It might be a little excessive.
What would be allowable, other than the 3 feet? Can we meet halfway?
And
Councilman Cato, can you speak up? I couldn't hear your comment.
I said I'm not a big fan of, I mean, I understand the need for the signs, but I'm not a big fan of 4.5 foot signs. I think it'll be a little large, obnoxious, perhaps.
It is only 3 feet wide, and I think it's 18 inches tall, so it's not very big. It's just mainly just a directional to guide people is really what the purpose is of the sign.
and Councilman Michelle?
Yes, thank you. Appreciate the applicant's comments. looking at the code, 6681 on variances specifies physical hardship that would necessitate a variance. I am hard pressed to see a physical hardship here. We're talking about 8 total signs for this business, counting the monument. And I think having what would amount to several that say drive-through coffee, in my view, would be excessive and unnecessary and violating the spirit of and the integrity of our sign code, which was crafted very intentionally to try to minimize signage. My personal view is I don't think the applicant or the business is harmed by 1 or 2 fewer signs on this particular business. I think it'll be very clear to individuals this is a coffee establishment with a drive-through facility without the additional signs that are being requested. So, well, I appreciate the applicant's perspective on it. I would respectfully disagree and not support either of these variances.
And then I also noticed the P and Z did not approve sign D out by the sidewalk in Bandera. They recommend disapproval on that one. Also. Anything from the city staff? All right. Any other comments? Caraway?
No other comments.
Dave? All right. Greg, anything else?
No, but I just would like clarity on the particular motion that we will be voting on. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I have to agree that I don't think that we need to do the variance on the size for sure. I'm having a little trouble, when directional signs, additional ones are necessary for the flow of traffic, I don't really have a problem with that because I'm thinking of the safety, because are people driving through, this is a total drive-through area, right?
It's actually
It's hard to-
it's a combination. It's actually a drive-through and it's also a walk-up.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see where the
Yeah, so.
flow is there, and I don't.
If you look at Cedar Trail, and then adjacent is the strip center, so there's a lot of traffic that's crossing by. So it's just basically another visible point of reference for traffic to, okay, don't go straight and cause more traffic over in the strip center. You're gonna go left if this is where you're going. So it's just another opportunity for the people that want to visit Seven Brew, that it would give them an extra viewpoint and a direction.
It just seems that 2 and 4 are pretty close together, so I'm not sure we need an extra one on there. Especially if you move one a little further. Yeah, I'm not. Okay. Greg, do you want to make a motion?
We want to divide them up into an A and a B, one for the signs on the building, then the other for associate.
If I may.
Yes, please.
So if there is a motion on the floor, I don't know if it wants, if there's,
You may want to withdraw that motion so that we can start a new motion.
Do you withdraw your motion?
Yes, I didn't know it, yeah.
Yes.
I said discuss and take action on, okay.
I can offer a motion from here. I don't know if you all would prefer to have somebody in the room doing it.
No, you're coming over loud and clear.
Okay. So my motion would be to, give me one moment, please.
Are we doing them combined or separate?
Do them separate. One for the building.
Yeah, I would do it separate.
One for the
So,
monument sign, and then the out by Bandera.
well, you said monument, not monument.
It's directional.
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 Sorry.
Thank you.
So my motion, I'm going to start with that one. My motion is to disapprove the request for 4 directional signs, disapprove the variance for 4 directional signs for Alamo Sign Solution for 7 Brew Helotes at 12405 Bandera Road.
So he's making a motion on item
Number
10.
That's for item B.
B, okay. And do we have a second on the on the motion?
I'll second that.
Caraway. All in favor of item number 10,
B.
B, to disapprove the variance, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries to disapprove 5-0. And would be interested to give a shot for item A, number 10, A.
I could propose that again. My motion would be to recommend to disapprove the request for 3 business name wall signs requested by Alamo Sign Solutions for 7 Helotes at 12405 Bend Road.
And do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, so the motion is to disapprove item number 10, A, the variance for the number of allowable wall signs. All in favor of disapproval, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor?
Against.
Against, rather, thank you. To disapprove carries 5-0. All right. Thank you so much
Okay,
for your
thank
time,
you.
sir.
Appreciate it.
Moving on to number 11. All right, looking for a motion and discussion, and a second rather, for discussion and action on a resolution of the City of Helotes, or excuse me, of the City Council of the City of Helotes, considering amendment number 1 to the 2026 street maintenance plan to increase the budget from $1,540,000 to $2,190,000 necessary for the chip seal surface and frictional asphaltic, that's a made-up word, right? Asphaltic surface preservation treatments issued through a competitive bid contracting with Intermountain Slurry Seal to perform the work. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Cato? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
McGowan? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
No issues.
Caraway?
No issues.
Greg?
No comments, thank you.
And none. So all in favor of approving motion, or item number 11 as written, say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Aye. 5-0. Motion passes.
Aye.
All right, number 12, looking for a motion and second, a discussion and action on ordinance of the City Council of the City of Helotes, authorizing amendment number 5 to the FYE 2026 budget by transferring up to $650,000 from street maintenance reserve fund balance to street maintenance. Interdepartment Fund number 14-510-530 expenditures to coincide with amendment number 1 to the 2026 street maintenance plan. Do we have a motion? Cato? Gowan?
I'll second.
I'm sorry. I thought you said yes.
No issues.
No issues?
No issues.
No comments.
None myself. All in approval, all in favor of approval, please say aye.
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 Motion all opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Get ahead of that.
Calm down.
All right. Looking for, to open discussion of and possible direction on the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Council of the City of Helotes, amending Municipal Code of Ordinance, Chapter 94, Vegetation, by revisiting various portions to keep local regulations up to date and adding state legislation revisions from Texas House Bill 517. Do we have a motion to open discussion?
Mayor Pro Tem, we don't need a motion.
We don't? Okay.
It's just discussion and direction, so
All right, let's talk about it.
right to left or left to right, or if you want to have.
Who'd like to go first?
He raised his hand.
Yes,
Which hand?
please kick us off.
Which hand did I raise? I'm just curious. All right, so thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity, ma'am. This is what family looks like. So we received the information and feedback from the last city council meeting where we addressed this. There was some discussion specific around artificial turf. There was some guidance and direction given about removing certain phrases and/or references in section 14, I believe it was, where we removed sentence or paragraph G out of section 94:14, and that has been stricken. The entire document did not go void of the term artificial turf. We found it appropriate to leave the phrase and definition inside the document because we believe that that's really important to be able to identify how the city of Helotes identifies that material and covering. Additionally, the document has gone to legal for review and we've received the feedback. We have, I think, 3 outstanding discussion points that we were looking to evaluate. I believe I sent in the email to you all on last night. I sent at the very bottom regarding item number 13 in this related to the agenda, not only the page numbers associated, but also the 3 things that we're open for discussion from the professional staff side. So if you have any specific questions, comments, concerns from technical aspect, I'll yield to Mr. Bulo. Other than that, we yield to you for your questions, comments, concerns.
Do it. All right.
Go for it.
I'm glad to see that all the references to artificial turf, especially as it related to private residences, was removed. I understand leaving the definition in place, but I do want to talk a little bit about another section of this ordinance that's certainly gained a lot of attention, having to do with protected trees or heritage trees. And if Mr. Vulo could just maybe provide some clarification on as far as what a protected tree is and a little bit about our mitigation process.
Certainly. So there are certain tree species that are protected by virtue of their species and their size. Mm-hmm. Of those species, when they reach a certain size, they're considered a heritage tree. They move from just the protected class to a heritage class. When they reach the heritage class, instead of being preserved at 40%, they have to be preserved at 60%. So there's a higher percentage of preservation requirements for the heritage class trees. So for simple math, if you had 100 inches worth of trees and they were just protected, you would only be required to preserve 40 of those inches to meet the 40% requirements. If those 100 inches were heritage, then it would be 60% of the 100. Hopefully that provided some clarity. May I speak on one of the 3 things that we kind of mentioned there?
Certainly. I just want to make sure that because, and this is a question to you, because the label protected or heritage exists, does that mean the tree never can be taken down?
Negative.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understand.
No. So regardless if they're protected or heritage, our current provisions allow a certain percentage to be removed. If you fall below that percentage, then you have to mitigate. And you can mitigate by replanting that number of inches that you below the threshold, or you can pay a fee in lieu of. In my experience here the last few years being functioning as a city arborist, I always try to make them replant the trees versus receiving a fee in lieu of. I think that's better for the environment, it's better for our city, but that's not always practical or possible based on a number of different things: layout of the land, topography, parking lot requirements per our code or whatever. So yeah, so that does not mean that they are forbidden from being removed. There's just thresholds that you have to adhere to.
Okay. And our ordinance is obviously supported by state law. We cannot prevent a property owner from removing a tree. But what we can do is have a mitigation program in place, like you just described, which would require the property owner to plant new trees.
If they fall below that threshold, that allowed threshold. So that kind of brings me to another point, if I may. And this isn't just due to current events or anything like this. It's an idea I've tossed around for the last couple of years, because I too care about the heritage trees. And some of these trees are massive, 250-year-old trees, right? Or older. And in an effort to protect property rights of the individuals and the property owners, but also protect our beloved trees, one recommendation or one idea that I came up with is moving that threshold from 60% to 100%. Now, when you say 100%, it sounds like they're forbidden completely from removing the tree. That's not the case. They can still mitigate if they fall below that threshold, but I would hope that would encourage them to try to keep them more, if that makes sense, but not completely disallow the removal, which I think we have to be careful with infringement of property rights in that case. I think that's my personal. That I don't want that to be misinterpreted as an official from council. That's my personal feelings towards it.
With the training that you have.
With the training and the experience that I've had the last few years doing this, working with landscape architects, working with multiple developers, whether they're former developers or current developers, working with, I speak often with community members, residents, things like that. And with my training and experience, I think that's fair.
Okay, thank you.
I kind of had a thought about incentives to keep the heritage trees and, trying to get, yes, the people have their property rights. What would make them voluntarily consent to keep a heritage tree? And, it being on their property, I thought about giving them some kind of tax rebate or something on their property tax because I know we're all talking about property taxes, reducing them or whatever, giving some incentive where they could get something financial for keeping the tree. I mean, I know that's I'm just throwing that out there, but I understand the property rights so that the owner of the property, what we really need is their consent, and I thought about that as what would motivate them, to want to keep the tree, and it could run with the land so that the next owner would be under the same agreement. Running with the land makes it permanent. So any future buyer takes it with that agreement in place. And I mean, to me, that was the only way I could think of that we could avoid situations. And that's not saying that they would consent to it, but we give tax incentives to people for, establishing their business or whatever. Why couldn't we for keeping a tree? I don't know.
I understand your question. I don't think that's a question for him to answer.
No, it's not. I just kind of discuss it with him if he, he kind of knows what's out there.
Yeah, I'm not qualified to make decisions on taxes, but I am open to the idea of other incentives that would be an administrative decision versus something that would probably require.
I'm just saying it in the sense that, and I'm not asking him the question, it's kind of a rhetorical question, but because you kind of have a feel for people out there and you talk to them as the arborist of, and you kind of sense what would motivate this person to keep it. That's why I value your input.
I think it's challenging because it's case by case, and some people don't have the same sentiment towards trees that I do, and that many of the members of our community do. So I like the idea of an incentive. I just don't know. I haven't put thought into it yet, so I don't have a clear answer on that.
It sounds like you're saying it wouldn't be perhaps unreasonable to increase the percentage to a little bit higher.
I think that's kind of a work. It's kind of a meet in the middle, for lack of better words. We still allow opportunities for them to go below a threshold and not strictly forbid the removal of a tree, but there would be, I don't like to use the word penalty because it's not a penalty, but there would be more mitigation required than normal, and that could be a motivating factor.
Makes them kind of take a pause before they.
I definitely need, we have to have some discussion on this, and I just kind of got Henry's email last night, so I didn't get to look at it very thoroughly, but the tree, maybe it wasn't sacrificed for nothing if it brings our attention to saving future ones, because, it's too late for that heritage tree, but maybe that sacrifice wasn't in vain, because it may cause us to look at what we have and restructure it so that future trees will be saved. I mean, silver lining, that's all I was thinking.
Yeah, to be fair, this is something I've thought about far before this particular tree that's in the current news right now.
So I wonder if you can help me with the review process. So somebody comes to the development service, says, hey, we want to cut down a heritage tree. Walk me through the review process. How's that decision?
So any developer has to, any commercial developer, I'll say, or subdivider. Okay, so single family residential lot, if you were doing this on your property, you wouldn't have these requirements. But a commercial development and subdividers, they have to present a tree survey, like an actual tree survey. They have to identify those trees in a tree table by species, size, protected class, things of that nature. I actually implemented, or in these provisions that I'm trying to implement, I want to make sure that the tags are metal. I've kind of verbally told that to most of the developers, but I think metal tags are better because sometimes they tag their trees with a ribbon and that disintegrates or degrades over time. But nevertheless, they have to present the tree survey, a corresponding tree preservation table, and there's a bit of math involved, but they have to show me what the mitigation, or they have to show the city what their mitigation plan is or what their preservation plan looks like. And part of the revisions in this ordinance provide clarity on that a bit. I define some of those things that weren't previously defined. And so when I review that, I make sure that they're in what they're presenting aligns with Chapter 94 Vegetation Code. And if it does, I approve it. If it doesn't, then there's a little bit of back and forth between the developer and I. And ultimately, they have to adhere to the vegetation code. If not, there's provisions of ordinance where they can seek a variance. In my time here, we haven't gone to a variance. They've always been made to adhere to the code and worked around it. There's been times I've allowed maybe off-site planting or something like that. If there's not room for planting on that property, that's few and far between. It's not something I'm opposed to. And our park got some trees of it. We've tossed around the idea of going in Old Town and planting some trees from a developer and things of that nature. But that's pretty much the process.
Yeah, I'll need to look more closely at your notes, what you have there also, study those a little deeper. Yeah, I don't really feel it's something that really needs to come to council, because I think we would hold up progress on meeting twice a month, sometimes not even twice a month, and plus we're not the tree experts. Well, I'm not a tree expert. Trees are pretty, so yeah, I need to look at your processes there, what you have. So
at the end of the day, it's fairly simple. It really is just math and making sure the math aligns with the ordinance.
It seems pretty straightforward.
Yes, sir.
The code says this, are you compliant or not?
Sometimes they ask for something and I say no, and we move forward.
You don't have an easy job. I appreciate you.
Yeah, and we make conscious decisions on it. I've been very specific with tree species that we're putting back. That certain areas have been susceptible to oak wilt in our community, and we're one of the only areas in Bexar County that has an oak wilt. I don't see we have an oak wilt problem, but we've identified suspected oak wilt in certain areas, and so. I encourage the planting of large tree species other than red oaks because they're the most highly susceptible. We do allow white oak species to be replanted, but we're doing great things with these changes to enhance the health of our urban forest, really, and add diversification.
As an aside, if I may, I can verify that the work that went into the revisions and additions have been ongoing my entire tenure, 2 years being here, and we've talked about these types of things literally continuously since my arrival. And I know even at that time he already had notes set in place. We've sent him different classes, everything. So the words that you're hearing are not words out of passion just by just pure vigor of an individual as a result of his work in training education. And just, well, I'll yield there.
Councilman Michelle, what do you got? Comments?
Thank you. And I do want to start by acknowledging Corey, your work and your team's work. I mean, oftentimes it's unsung and you only hear about it when people are unhappy about something, but you all do great work and thank you. I have a couple specific questions. I'm going to start with in section 94.7C, I think it's page 10. It's my poor math understanding here about tree mitigation. And it is, I think we could keep going a little farther in the document right there. The provision for mitigation is limited to 50% of the required protected and heritage tree replacement. So help me understand that 50% is of the 60% that would have to be preserved at the moment. Is that correct?
No, and the wording is confusing. I deal with this every time I look at one of these. Sometimes I can even get a little perplexed by it, just the way it's worded. But what that means is if you have to mitigate, if you're below that threshold, then whatever you have to mitigate back, you're only allowed to pay a fee in lieu of up to 50% of that. The rest of it has to be planted. So you can only you can't just you can't buy your way out of it. In other words, completely.
Okay.
You're limited to 50%.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right, that clarifies that. You mentioned before that when mitigation is required, that you encourage planting whenever feasible. I'm wondering if for a future reading and consideration of this by council, we could see any data just on maybe percentage of applicants who go the planting route versus the fee route when they have that option, just to get a sense of what people are choosing. That might be useful data for us as we consider this.
Do you actually, I apologize, do you actually track that?
I mean, I could try to look at like the last developments for the last, I don't know, 2 years or whatever time frame you want to come up with and see how many made that election, but
that would be looking back
it
through
would be
correspondence as opposed to something that's charted.
Yeah, I don't know how we would quantify that completely, but put enough time and energy into it, I'm sure it's possible.
I yield.
Yeah, I don't want to create a whole lot more work, but on the other hand, I do think it's useful to know what applicants are doing.
Some nuance to that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your train of thought
Go
there.
ahead.
I always encourage, I think I alluded to that a second ago, I always encourage replanting over receiving a fee, which is going to bring in another part of the discussion later. But my recommendation and my encouragement to all the developers is always to replant as much as they can. And
Right.
they do get an opportunity to double dip to a degree. In the sense that there are also landscape requirements. So if they have to plant trees because of parking lot shading or perimeter shading or any other provision in the landscape part, we do allow those planted inches to count towards their mitigation, which I think is fair. And that's one way that it's encouraged, and that's one way that that we get pretty good compliance with the replanting, because a lot of it they have to replant anyway because of other provisions in the ordinance, if that makes sense. There are some people that outright just want to pay a fee, and if they're limited, that would have come before council at some point for a variance if that was ever allowed. So the limitations exist.
Let me ask you a couple other things if I can. The current heritage protection is at 60%, right?
Yes, sir.
What is the basis for that number? Like why 60% and not some other amount? Do we know?
I don't know. I wasn't here for its original implementation. It does appear, based on my research, to align with most other municipalities in our area and beyond our area. And again, I made the comment that we could look at moving that from 60 to 100% in an effort to further protect those heritage trees.
I think it'd be worthwhile for us to consider other options. I don't have a percentage in mind, but it seems I would like, maybe best practices, like what is recommended by professionals and what's reasonable, taking into account property owner rights and so forth. But if we really don't know why 60, then there's a question like why not 50 or why not 80? And so I think I'd feel uh, that we would have a stronger basis for why we've chosen this if there's a rationale behind it.
Yeah, I think it was the industry standard at the time. A lot of our stuff back then, excuse me, was mirrored after City of San Antonio, which I'm sure most of you are aware of. You can see direct correlation between the two in a lot of areas of our ordinances. I would, my opinion is that it is industry standard.
Okay, I guess since this is a dated document now, this would be a good time to verify that and update it. Let me ask a couple other things. Really, just one thing, and this is maybe for the city attorney, but I noticed there are several places in here. For example, in the sections 94, 21, and 23 that specify legal review is needed, and just didn't know what the status of that review was, and if this has gone to the attorney yet, and if there's any feedback.
It has gone through my review. I'm still basically reviewing more. I put it in the ordinance format so that the staff could have it, but there's still some additional review. But overall, I have initially reviewed the entire proposal.
Okay. And so far, there has not been anything that's, is it fair to say nothing has come up that's a problem or something that needs to be redone, or maybe there is, I don't know.
At this stage, I have not found anything that raises a legal concern for the city.
Okay. All right, thank you. Those are my questions.
All right. The 60%, I mean, the community has definitely let us know that they definitely want the heritage trees protected as much as we can. Increasing the percentage, of course, it's not a no, but there's going to be a few little more obstacles to ensure this is the right thing for the community the city to do in the community. Yeah, it's definitely made clear to us.
There's another change that was up on the screen a little while ago that I'm proposing, and that's the heritage trees aren't just for large tree species. There's also provisions for the small tree species over a certain size. As the code stands now, that's 5 inches or more, and I'm proposing to reduce that to 3, and that's because a 5-inch small tree species, that's big. And I think that if we reduce it to 3, that would protect more of those trees, making them a heritage tree at a smaller diameter. Yeah. And prime example of that is we have a lot of red buds down in Old Town, right? Mm-hmm. And that's one of those small tree species that are protected. To see a 5-inch one isn't as common. And when people start grubbing or clearing their property during the tree surveys and the kind of their preliminary stages of development, sometimes those smaller trees might not be protected because they fall below a certain inch. And I just wanted to protect them at a smaller size. So that's what that too would help protect some of the trees. And the small tree species sometimes get overlooked because everybody pays attention to the oaks and stuff. But the small tree species are super important to the environment, to the local ecosystem. Persimmon and some of the other trees that have fruit-bearing trees that are native to this area. So,
and then the tree mitigation fund, what does that go into? What do we do with those funds?
It's a designated fund. I am seeking guidance and direction from you all on what can we use that fund for. And historically, we've used it for maybe hiring a tree, like contracting a tree company to do a big tree trimming job that we're not capable of at a staff level. Use it for a couple of other things, obviously tree related. We use
oak wilt education program.
We use it for the oak wilt mitigation program that we have. So and it's a good time for anyone paying attention. If you have an oak wilt identified on your property and you have to pay to get it resolved, the city will actually reimburse you through a grant, if you meet the criteria. And so we do use it to support that.
I lost 25 trees 2 years
Got
ago.
money to get that word out. To be clear, that's not always 100%. Is that accurate?
It's
Because
never
our
100%.
neighborhood
Oh, I
has-
just want to, I don't want
No,
false
it's
hope
limited,
of
yeah,
100% would be,
Our neighbors
Okay.
next door across the street.
It's got a maximum amount of, I believe it's $500. So
believe
it's still
that's-
better than nothing. But anybody knows
Yeah,
now,
that won't get us
$500
very
is
far.
a tree.
That's one branch.
Yeah.
Now, it would be,
Honestly, the reason a lot of people don't take care of the oak wilt, it is expensive to cut down and then if they don't clean their and sanitize their saws, you know, everybody's just terrified it's spreading. And I had that experience. I mean, we lost like 25 trees, and our neighbors still have oak wilt, you know, but the guy who did the trimming said, oh, you know, your trees have to be healthy because you can have a bunch of oak wilt and then one tree in the middle isn't affected. Like it's some kind of health issue, you know, I don't know. But anyway, if the word would get out a little more, I'm glad you told me about that. Because I mean, 500 isn't very much, but people, it's expensive. That's why they just let the oak wilt go, you know,
Yes, ma'am.
which I can't blame them, but.
To be clear, that money is supposed to be used to replace trees.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, so it wouldn't necessarily pay for the service of removal of the oak wilt. It's more for replacing with non-oak wilt susceptible species. And we have a list of, like, I don't say approved, but recommended species as well on the website.
I have it on
Yeah,
the website.
there you go.
There you go.
Thank you, Selena.
The visual's up.
yeah, it'd be nice to have
Oh, thank
more educational programs, you know, when you cannot cut, what is it, February to May or something like that, you're prohibited by city ordinance.
Yes, sir.
It would be nice to get that. Only reason I know is because I read the ordinance. You know, but use those funds for an educational outreach, since obviously it's in the hood. It's
Yeah,
here.
oh, yeah, we have.
It's here.
Well, a lot of people come by and offer their services in the wrong months, and people don't know you're not supposed to do that during certain months.
Yeah. Would we be able to also highlight the ordinance when it comes to, you know, I can cut my trees, but if I hire somebody to cut my trees, I need a permit? You know,
Right.
Would those funds be acceptable, as long as it's tree related, right? Kind of.
Would those funds be acceptable for what? I'm sorry, I don't know if I followed your question.
If I want to cut a tree down, I can cut my own tree, but if I'm going to go cut somebody else's, I need to hire a contractor to come and cut my trees, and I need a
Tree trimming
permit
permit, yes,
to
sir.
do that, right?
Yeah,
A lot
yes.
of folks don't know that. It would be nice to get the word out exactly what is in the code, instead of somebody having to read 40 pages, you know, kind of summarize it and use those funds for an educational outreach to help us all with Oakwood.
Okay. We do, I would still like to hear some direction, and I don't expect it right now, but maybe for the next discussion on maybe some clarity and legal might need to look at this too. What can we use those funds for? I mean, I've got a number of ideas in my head. I just want to make sure they align with what you all want and what falls within, you know, our legal requirements. You know, I've thought, could it purchase equipment for our vegetation management crews? Could it be used to purchase green space within the city? I mean, I've got some great ideas, I think, but I just want to.
Well, I'd like to hear yours, if you can put them in a form for us to look at, your
Sure.
suggestions, because those would be valuable to us.
Very.
and we can potentially bring that back as an individual agenda item in the future.
Sir. May I speak on the other, there were 3 topics we've addressed to them. Can I speak on the other one? Related, okay. A lot of discussion around artificial turf, and I think, in my professional opinion, we're moving in the right direction with the removal of some of the previously proposed stuff. But I do think that we need to determine whether or not we're going to allow artificial turf at all, and if we do, what kind of percentage of a lot that we'll allow. And again, I think this is something we all got to sleep on maybe and come back for further discussion on it. But I just want to plant the idea, no pun intended, in y'all's heads as far as what do we want to see as far as just completely disalallow it or allow certain percentages, distinction between residential and commercial. It kind of leads you to a lot of different.
Artificial turf.
Yeah, but you're talking about, would this be contrary, would we be overriding then any rules an HOA had regarding it? I mean, if we come up with our own rules on artificial turf, I guess we have to keep in mind that some HOAs have their own restrictions, and if we conflict with them, what is that gonna create? How do we do that?
HOA.
My understanding is they could be
above and
more restrictive than we can. They can't be less restrictive than we can. That would be my assumption.
I would recommend just, since the definition is left in there, is addressing artificial turf as it relates to commercial property. If there are guidelines that would be helpful for businesses and developers to keep in mind. But I don't want to get in between a homeowner and an HOA.
No.
So my recommendation would be providing some guidelines or clarity related to artificial turf and commercial property, but not residential.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with
Just my
that.
opinion.
Because some areas, I'm sure, have deed restrictions on artificial turf or what you can and cannot do.
But even then, they have to comply with the Texas Property Code 209.
Yeah.
So even the HOA may not be able to touch it depending on what's in 209.
And then on the same topic, xeriscaping as an alternative landscape method. I have seen proposed drafts from the city of San Antonio, other places around the country that limit xeriscaping to where you still have to have 50% green space on your lot. So I didn't know if you guys wanted to implement anything like that or just leave it open where xeriscaping can be implemented for 100% of the lot.
I'm sorry, can you say that again? Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. We talk about xeriscaping as an alternative landscape method, which is essentially using drought-resistant or drought-tolerant native plant species and some rock and some other things kind of mixed in there. Some of the cities that I've seen limit that to where you still have to have 50%, at least 50% green space of actual vegetative growth on your property. That doesn't mean like a distinct line, like you're 50% on this side and but a mixture to where you still have 50% of vegetation on your property instead of just barren rock and gravel.
Well, xeriscaping isn't always just rock and gravel, though.
Well, it could be mulch, it could be a number of things, but
You can have plants that are xeriscape that are drought resistant and all that on your, I mean, I'm a little, I don't think I want to restrict a property owner from what if they want a 100% xeriscape, I mean, I don't see a problem with that, it's their property. And then now if they live in a subdivision where the HOA restricts it, even then they can't restrict very much, but I don't know, I'm a little uncomfortable with saying you could only xeriscape 50% of your property.
some considerations would be the urban heat island effect. How no vegetative growth could affect the local ecosystem and animals and the biomes in the soil and things of that nature. Also, a lot of times, I think we overlook secondary effects, which could be stormwater runoff. A large portion of our city is in the recharge zone. If things are implemented where water is just running off into the MS4 and carried off into another location, we miss the opportunity for that water to settle and
Well, I guess you would have to define the xeriscape type. Like if it's just rocks, that's one thing, but if it's like drought-resistant plants.
The traditional definition of xeriscaping is plants.
Yeah, that's why I'm a little confused about the rock.
Well, are you proposing that maybe we limit the amount of rock?
Like when I think of xeriscaping, I
Es-
think of,
essentially
yes.
make it to where, this isn't my suggestion, this is just what other
What you've seen,
entities have done, what I've seen, is where at least 50% of your property still has to have vegetative growth, whether it's xeriscaped drought-resistant plants or some sort of water-conserving natural turf. Doesn't really matter, just as long as the rock and or gravel or things other than vegetative growth is limited to 50%.
Okay, that clarifies. You're saying other than vegetative.
No, but I don't think that's a bad idea, to limit the amount of hardscape.
Of rocks, yeah. That's different than just yeah, I wasn't clear on what you were
I wouldn't
talking
for that.
No.
because I agree with you. It does affect,
There are a lot of secondary effects that could happen, especially like I said, if you ever look, anyone can Google the recharge zone map on the internet. A large portion of our city's in that recharge zone, and when we talk about water conservation and other things that we're using as a motivation for revising this ordinance, we should definitely consider how landscape could affect the water's ability to permeate through the ground and into our aquifer.
True.
No, I definitely wouldn't want it all rock and sandstone and stuff like that. No,
And a lot of people, some people do that. It's true. I've seen the entire yard is rock. That's true.
I think that's a good idea, Corey.
Okay.
do we have any, Greg? Oh, is he there? There he is. Anything else, Greg?
Not from me, thank you.
All right, do we have any direction to bring back or anything, any direction for the city staff? You know, the heritage tree preservation requirements currently at 60. Personal feelings, that's pretty low.
Yes.
That's real low. That's an easy hump or hurdle for a developer to just do what they want to do and a little bit of money, a few trees here, and move on. You know,
I would like to see it move to 75.
75 definitely a lot better, that's for darn sure. 100 is a little, you know, I do worry about the property rights. I don't want to handcuff, you know, people who are trying to sell land. They have a whole bunch of heritage trees on this property, and then they can't sell it because the city has too many restrictions on them and stuff, and what they plan to build on that land or do with that land. Who knows what the future holds for it. But 60 is too low. What do y'all?
It should be noted, I'm sorry, I don't think I explicitly made comment of this earlier, but heritage trees also, if you fall below that threshold, they're mitigated at a 3-to-1 ratio. So each inch is equal to 3 inches. And so so that is,
Very good.
60% may seem low until you hear that, where those mitigated inches are treated at a 3-to-1 ratio instead of a 1-to-1 ratio, like with the normal protected class trees. That's not.
Sorry, is that current? I'm sorry, is that?
That's current.
3-to-1 current or proposed?
That's current, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that's not me stating I'm in opposition to increasing the percentage, but it should be noted that 3-to-1 mitigation ratio exists.
No, absolutely, thank you. Didn't know that. What do y'all feel on guidance for the city on number, or mull it over and come back again, or?
I think I'd need some time to mull it over just because of the recent occurrences and see if we can work on it, you know. And I would appreciate your input on that uses with that fund that you were talking about.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you think, Gilson?
Like mentioned,
About 75?
Sabrina, do you have any thoughts on this?
I mean, I would support raising it to 75 and definitely highlighting the fact that there's a 3-to-1.
I'm sorry,
Increasing it to 75.
you are for that?
I am, and keeping the 3-to-1 also.
I agree with that.
What do you think of that, Greg? 75%, but definitely keeping the 3.
I honestly feel like I'm guessing. And that's why I would like to see a little more on what other communities are doing or best practices. I don't have a basis. I'm not an arborist. I don't know. So I need something more to go on than, than just sort of our sense of it.
So we'll start with at least bumping it up to 75 and come back in 2 weeks after we've all done a little bit of research. Our staff does some research for us.
What do you think, Aaron?
And
I feel like I'm guessing too, but
Yeah,
he wants, we can start, like, I mean, I don't know.
all right,
We can always change it back, whatever.
exactly. Anything else on item number 13 with the vegetation?
So for clarity, what I'm hearing is go-dos one is to have some measure of comparison or evaluation what other communities are doing as it relates to mitigation. Looking at the percentage potentially going up to 75%, the xeriscaping no greater than 50%, as stated.
50.
50?
50.
Isn't that what, I didn't say that?
I thought you said 15, sorry.
50.
Okay.
50%, okay?
Dave has
If you do 50%, you have to qualify what that 50% is.
Understood, understood. As far as the,
Is it, do you factor in that existing driveways and things like that? Or is it 50% of the already
the
natural terrain? I think you kind of, we've had to do that with the HOA in order to give a reasonable percentage.
right. Understood. And I greatly appreciate that commentary because that is important when you go to overall lot size. And then are you talking about frontage versus, so all of those things.
To be penalized for having a reasonable driveway.
Right. Understood. Understood.
Big sidewalk.
I might already have that defined, but I'll
something
look through that, yeah, but, because I think it's related to things other than already established impervious cover, like driveways and things of that, and the house itself and things like that. It'd be 50% of everything other than that.
Yeah, we exclude builder, in our case, we exclude builder implemented, like driveways and things like that, foundations, whatnot.
Understood.
Right, excellent. And also, I perceive that our, looking at, is there any language regarding commercial artificial turf? Did I capture that right? That there was some measure of discussion, and we can always go back and look at the video.
Yeah, how it relates to commercial property.
Right. At commercial,
Divide that up, commercial and residential to an A and a B, or?
well, I think that I heard only regarding artificial turf as it relates to commercial properties.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And then potential to evaluate how much planting versus paying is occurring on mitigation. I understand that we do not track that in a way that's easily recallable, but if we can just take a peek at in the nearish distance past.
Best effort.
Did you also mention, City Administrator, the potential uses for the tree mitigation fund? I didn't catch that.
Oh, yes, I didn't mention it, but that's something that we actually been talking about internally, and
Okay.
and that is a go-do. Right.
Very good.
All right. No further discussion. Moving on to item number 14, open for discussion and direction on proposed FYE 2027 municipal operating budget and the FYE 2027 EDC operating budget and the tax year 2026 ad valorem tax rate. Like to start us off with the changes that were sent to us.
Nothing significant to report. No, I'm playing.
I was like, hold on.
Excellent, thanks, sir. I will start out by saying that the EDC is not physically represented here on tonight. There are some adjustments that you saw on the last meeting. Those numbers remain the same as briefed. The slides that were briefed, the adjustments are now present in your document now. So if, yes.
You know what slide number?
All right, well, so actually, we'll just burn straight through. I'm gonna skip. So let's start with the second slide. Yes, that one. So the update, we did receive the tax valuation on the 20th, as previously indicated. With regard to healthcare, we do not anticipate that we'll be at 20%. We had a really good conversation with our broker, and we perceive that we can get 15% or less of an increase. That is still to be determined. I owe a share to the mayor on some information on that, meaning the document that we received recently from the broker. Okay, we'll move forward. And in the charts that you see, we've taken away all of the small size, multiple slides, and we just gave you the charts that are associated. Overall, if you see something in a red block, that means that that number, and you can continue going forward, if you see something in the red block, like on this slide, on the far right side in that yellow column, that means that that is a number that has been reduced from original request. So on this slide, I have to say this for many reasons, but our line for city attorney,
We're not gonna use
as,
it much.
as he looks at,
Nothing personal.
we love you, Frank.
We need you.
Yes, we do. No, but so we actually were anticipating some background things that are going that would cost us potentially some more money, but we don't know when that will resolve. And so as a result of some of the unknowns, instead of just artificially inflating, then we're gonna deal with the expense as it comes.
So red is actually green.
Say again?
So red is actually green.
In your perspective, yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's a saving.
It's a good thing.
It's a savings as a result of the projection
Okay.
at this time.
Got it.
Okay, it doesn't mean that this is final either. So, but what we did on this particular line, we aligned it back to what we anticipated as a potential norm. And so one of the things, and part of my perspective on some of the things, like if you go to the next one, this, I think it's development services. Actually, we can speed past development services. Let's go to building and grounds, public works, and then building and grounds. So building and grounds, you'll see a red block that indicates $100,000 for building maintenance. We're in a season where we're doing some things for HVAC and some other things, and we're getting to a really good spot. The original request was $135,000. And so what, in our discussions, I have evaluated and said, well, no, let's just go back to, our norm was somewhere around, as of the current year, 85,000. You can see we're projected over 100,000. And so if there are some things that break bad outside of our anticipation, we'll come back to you. As opposed to just simply encumbering funds that may not be spent, okay? We can continue to just to speed through. These other slides are largely just the anticipations of what we have internally on the professional side built as.
City Administrator, if I could stop you for a sec.
Sure.
We just passed up I think it was dispatch and IT that had an update on it, but I didn't see what. I
Please
couldn't tell
forgive
what
me.
it was.
Please forgive me. Yes. Okay. So the update, I don't remember what the last number, I don't know if you remember, Daniel, Mr. Rodriguez, what the last number was for IT. It might have been, was that the $800,000 number? I think it was a little. So what we've done with the IT is this current year is the first year that we have an IT line item within the budget. So what we have done is the last number that you saw was about 800 something $1,000. We've gone back to every department and division and said another confirmation check. Hey, what things do not need to live within your budget? One example is related to the police department. There is an IT solution that they have that came back at, I think, about $62,000 or $63,000 just for one item. We pulled it from police department over into IT as, so it's no longer reflecting inside of police. It was moved from police to IT. So more specifically, that item for police, that line that it came from now should reflect about $4,700 or something of that nature for that particular line. So the increase overall is a result of taking from other established divisions and departments and pulling it into IT as a standalone. I hope that helps.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for the call out on that. I want to get to the conversation, but I don't want to skip anything. That's important. So I appreciate that pause. Let's see. And actually, the police line, actually, I was right, 4,700. All right. So then we have fire. You'll see 4 things on the fire side. The chief and I sat down and talked about some things very, very specifically about some of the anticipations, and we were able to get down on I think it's 5 items on fire and 2 on EMS. We are not, let me say it very clearly, we are not seeking to eliminate any service delivery, and we are not looking to hinder our capability of delivering services in any of the adjustments that you are looking at on today. Okay? And then we have economic development is listed as presented last time by way of the paper handouts. Now you have the electrons on it. Okay? So you'll see next is the capital. The first slide is capital for our current year, and then the next slide has been updated. So there was commentary about putting it in, I guess, a rank order per department and division. So the number, when you see the word department at the top of the slide, second column over, it says police 1, police 1A, police 2. Those numbers are the prioritization for each of the submissions, literally. And so now there are some for 28 and the out years that don't have a dash number after them, but that's because we are not in that year to thumb wrestle the priority. So all the 27s do have a prioritized number associated with them. I'll yield for questions, comments, concerns. Hoping that I met the mark on that request. Okay, hearing nothing. All right, so then we'll get to the various illustrations, scenarios. The very first one that you'll see has the yellows column, which is a projected or anticipated budget. Then we have to the immediate right is a black column. If you can make so that the black column could be seen at the same time, that'd be great. So one of the things that you'll see here is the addition of all personnel requests and their associated cost. What you're looking at is at the tax rate of 31 cents for ad valorem, health insurance 15%, and I heard on the last meeting better than for cost of living the 6.25, so I marked it at 6.5. Okay? So this total with the addition of all of those things and adding the capital replacement transfer of $200,000 would put us at a deficit of $1,270,000-ish. Without the personnel, at the same wage increase of 6.5, it is a $667,000 or $668,000 deficit. Okay. Meaning it is an overspend against our revenues of that amount. Okay. The next slide, again, maintaining the 31-cent tax rate, 15% health insurance. This one shows a 5% increase, as well as the additional personnel. And that deficit still is at, with all of the personnel, still at $1,200,000, $1,200,000. Going to the next slide, we're looking at, again, the 31 cents. This is a potential if an 11% instead of 15% increase on wages, at a 3.75 increase for wages, that is going to get us just right at $450,000 deficit against what we're projecting as revenues. Subsequent slide to that is a 3% wage increase, no additional personnel, $412,000 deficit. Slide after that, this is the beginning of some of the cuts that you saw with the red blocks at 3%. Wage increase shows a $345,000 deficit with the current projections on the property and sales tax. When I say current, according to the numbers that Daniel and I have run. The next slide after that has some purple on the side. Yes, okay. So this is in accordance with the assumptions that were originally presented to you in the budget workshops, with the operational line items, meaning the minor adjustments, where we get to there, and with the capital replacement transfer, it still ends up with $1 million deficit. So I'll yield there unless there's any questions, comments, concerns. We're actually on slide 36 of 45 at this point. Hearing nothing, we'll move forward with property tax. You've seen this slide. You've seen this slide here. It has an update. I put on there basically the link to the Truth in Taxation website. They have a bunch of forms on there and things if you wanted to read on that. We're still awaiting the tax rate limitations, and we anticipate that by the next meeting we will have that information that's directly associated with the INS tax rate, which again is provided to us. The other piece of that, the M&O tax rate, which is the rate that you all influence and make a decision and vote on, that M&O rate ultimately has by itself a limitation related to the no new revenue tax rate, as well as the overall dollar or overall tax rate of currently 31 cents. So again, you'll have two sections that have limitations. One is overall tax rate, and the second one is the M&O tax rate. Keeping in mind that it is true that if the INS tax rate goes down, that if you vote to keep the 31 cents, that you are, that number of the M&O would have to go up to stay at 31 cents if the M&O rate, if the INS rate goes down. We don't have that information currently, and all the scenarios I've run, Daniel and I have been off of the 31 cent rate as I perceived the guidance was. Okay. Next slide is showing essentially our valuation result against the 31 cent versus the 28 cents for the tax rate. This is comparing calendar year 25 versus calendar year 26. The valuation overall yielded a reduction of our overall tax yield. If we're at 31 cents, the natural, doing nothing other than keeping the 31 cents, would yield a natural $125,000 decrease in available funds. And if it goes to 28 cents, the difference would go to $500,000. The next section is about policy impacts with the budget touch. So cell phone allowance, the holiday pay decision on rolling it into the base, the position requests, meaning additions, as well as the reclassifications of positions. All of those are before you for the sake of making an assessment and or vote and decision. You see a slide that indicates what the total yield is if all positions that have a monetary value would be keeping in mind a reclassification of the telecommunicator 2 to telecommunicator 3 would have a estimated $6,000 difference in the budget. Okay. All the other requests are just straight adds. With respect to the reclassifications, you see the title and classification of going from hourly to salary would be for the number 2 position in DPW, Department of Public Works or Division of Public Works. Police would be a change of position from a patrol officer. So total patrol officers would be reduced by one and shift one person, one position over into property and evidence specialists. And then all bailiffs going from under court oversight into the police budget line. So as you see the budget that has been presented to you, I have already moved bailiffs over into the police to show what that is. We have absolutely no desire to keep bailiffs under court. So it is my strong recommendation for you to, at the very least, support that. Other decisions that are forecasted to shift to an administrative decision unless otherwise directed would be the IT profiles by attrition moving to, as I stated before, as well as the other items there, compressed work week, PTO, sick, okay? And then, oh, we're really close to that end, aren't we? Yeah. So ultimately, this is just a snapshot of things awaiting specific action. It may not encompass absolutely everything. One thing I did not mention was with the TMRS, again, is my strong recommendation that we stay at 7% and not go to 8%. Outside of that, I yield for your conversation and guidance.
What's the compressed work week?
Oh, have mercy.
Sorry.
So on the last meeting, I showed a slide that that indicated if we were to go to a longer 4 days and get a shorter day 5. In that concept, we would leave the windows open for however long we need to leave them open, but there are some times that I am not recommending we close a function for a whole day. If we have more than one employee inside of a department or division, then we spread those short days across so that we still have delivery service.
Thank you. I remember now.
Henry, did we get any word on any kind of preliminaries on that study for the wage
No,
compensation?
ma'am, we're still gathering information.
Yeah, they didn't have anything there. Okay.
Yeah, the compensation makes it tough. Want to do it right. We don't want to, I'm scared. I'm hesitant to when we can come back mid-year, in 6 months and say, okay, how did we do once we have that survey back? Of course, the employees, the staff deserve something. What that number is, I don't know, but I don't want to do, because we're not going to take it back.
I respect that comment, all the comments. I have talked about in our staff meeting that I do not have an anticipation that I would be pressing extremely hard for anything that is extremely large for cost of living adjustments for fiscal year 27. I've said that several times. Is that whatever? That's why I call him extra, and that's why you're not on the camera. No, I'm playing. No, but seriously, we know that when the call for a wage and compensation study was made from City Council, that we are going to experience that there's going to be a mixed bag of results, meaning some positions may be close to right sized. Some positions will be grossly out of alignment with communities that are considered comparable to us. We cannot compare ourselves to Converse, which is the largest city outside of San Antonio, inside the Bexar County, I think. But we can't compare our wages to theirs. We don't even have the same functions all the way across the board. One position by title doesn't mean that they're doing the same exact functions. And so we have to be careful of how we lean forward on wages and how we compare ourselves to others. One of our near peers in proximity and size, we provide a service that they don't. Like we provide a whole department, 2 departments actually, that they don't even have. So we have to be mindful of how we approach. I'm not saying that we don't anticipate any increases on COLA, cost of living allowance. What I'm saying is I'm taking a very cautious and measured step in what I would end up recommending once I have all the numbers that are given to us, like the INS rate, the no new revenue rate, and the voter approval rate. Because I have the valuation, once I have those limits, we will run the goncalator until it like almost burns up like my charger cord the other morning. Literally. Woke up to a blue flame.
I mean, I agree with you. You know, I don't want to hang my hat on that study. I mean, because I don't know really, once we see it, we may go, hey, they didn't compare this to this, you know.
Well, we can destroy any comparison or any study that is made. The very same person who builds it can destroy it with words.
True.
So that's why it's really important to have a third party to do this work for us. I'm very grateful for that. But I don't build a budget that takes wages in consideration first. We have to deliver service. And we have to provide materials, goods, benefits, and all those things. And as I stated before, in my calculation and in the finance department and finance director's calculations, the last item for consideration and determination, internal, is the wage adjustment.
Yes, but wages often affect your service.
Understood. Understood. We are where we are, but we are very strong as we are. I'm not saying that there's no increase desired by anyone. I'm not saying that at all. I understand where we're at. I understand what I expect to see. I don't expect to see that we're level. I really don't expect to see that when this wage and compensation come back. But I'm not excited about me building a deficit budget and presenting that to you. I'm not excited about that.
But there's been studies, various studies, and across HR that have indicated that salary isn't always the desired benefit that employees want. Sometimes they want to have that Friday afternoon off.
Understood.
What is the problem with us cutting back on services? And I'm just throwing something out. Friday afternoon, certain services, and obviously critical services, things like that, but why not? Why have to stagger it? Why not just let everyone in that department off on Friday afternoon?
I wouldn't make that decision in and of myself.
You know, and that's why
This is not a strong manager community.
I am concerned about the health insurance and the benefits, because that's another way that your job is, you know, attractive. A job is attractive. I mean, the benefits are very important. I'm not sure, I don't know enough about the health plan, but I hope it's good, because I'd rather see that increased. You know, that's important to people. So I hope we have a good health plan. I don't know, because.
Well, you'll get a mixed answer on that.
Every year.
Every year we have the opportunity to change based on how the state of Texas has us do for health. It goes out every year. And so our hope and our goal is that we're not breaking continuity of care every year, right? But in the same sense, the city of Helotes, for our employees, as we currently approach the health insurance standpoint, for the employee only, we provide one of the better packages regarding the dollar amount that comes out of an employee's pocket when compared to other communities. A lot of other communities may pay 80%, may pay 60%. We pay for the employee only 100%. There are some things, some peripheral things, and we have the what is the offset. I can't remember what company. The company name is irrelevant, but we have an offset that allows us, for the sake of non-emergency care, to be able to get seen, and it does not actually count and hit our health insurance claims like if we did it inside that network. which helps us as a city in our ratings the following year.
Going back to the salary survey, I know that, and we talked about this last year, it's hard to do an apples to apples comparison. But we're all pulling from the same labor pool. And I understand, other communities have different services, but, I look at if somebody lives in San Antonio and they can go to Converse versus Helotes for a job where there's a $20,000 difference, they may drive a little further to go to Converse. So I think we need to keep that in mind as well when we're looking at the results of the survey. We're pulling from the same labor pool.
I understand that. I chose Helotes over Converse. I live closer to Converse.
I'm so glad.
It's not
you
for the
did.
pay. I promise you that, because you can't compete with Converse. You cannot, even if the second position in Converse was available. And I'll tell you very plainly, I was interviewed for that. And the dollars are not the same. If it was all about the dollars, I would not be.
So what was it about for you?
It's the family. It is the culture. It is the connectivity that we have internal. My third day here, I recognize the strength of the city of Helotes internal staff. And I don't know if I should say this or not, but I'm going to. Most people say, if you have to pause and say that, don't say it. I see you. But you all aren't lunatics.
What did you say?
You're not lunatics.
Oh, okay.
So, and what I mean by that is, for a position that I'm in, it is critically important for me to understand who my supervisors are and what is the tenor of the community as it relates to that. And so I made it very clear. Now, I'm not talking negative about any other community that I may have named. I'm not. I just want to be clear. But seriously, the things that hold me here, truthfully, I reject the healthcare because I have that as an option.
Yeah.
Right? I have that as an option. Some others have that as an option. I want to be smart on how we do the healthcare because some depend on the family or the child or others to be inside that network. So we need to be very cautious and committed to that. Truth be told, and what I tell people often is you can make all the money you want. But if you don't have adequate health care, where's your money going to go? Especially as you age into disability and injury. I yield.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So if we prove an amount for COLA, we can schedule in 6 months or when the survey is complete and we get the whole package, give us some time to review it. We can get an agenda item and come back. Do we make adjustments?
What I hear you asking is, does the city council have an opportunity and have an opportunity
We don't
to
have to
make
wait till
budget
this time next
adjustments in the future based on what they see or perceive as needs? The answer is yes, but what I would say to that is we would need to evaluate how the revenues, regardless of what we're doing. I am not a fan of recommending a deficit for our budget.
He's shaking his head. No.
Right.
Have to pass a balanced budget.
Absolutely.
Got to cut the attorney.
Absolutely.
Cut the attorney.
Gotta go too?
Unlike our federal government, the cities in the state of Texas must pass balanced budgets.
And that is why I foot stomp that continuously. And that is why when a deficit shows, I make sure that you understand that that is a deficit. I have an obligation of what I present to you.
What's a little frustrating though is as we see on these projected numbers that actually get spent, sometimes we're overestimating what the need is, and so I don't know, I wish, let's say we did come back in 6 months with a new study, and even at 6 months, halfway through the year, we noticed that an area was over budgeted. I mean, it's hard to tell, right? But maybe we could reevaluate and say, well, we were way off on this salary, but look, I mean, yeah, you're right. I think coming back in 6 months is just, I don't like that too much. I kind of feel like we're gonna be stuck reassessing again and spending a lot of time, you know, I
But
just.
you also,
You could say some condition,
we
like,
create some anticipation that may never manifest also.
yeah,
And is that fair to the team to sit on pins and needles? If it comes up and it's available and it's valid, and because overspending, underspending, those type of things, you know, and I'll yield it to Mr. Rodriguez here in a second, but we have a lot of reasons why we don't fully expend during the year. And some of those are, we got grants. Some of those are our emergency communications or our public works or our police department did not have a full staff. When I arrived, we had an organization, a portion of the organization that had a gap of employees, 3 vacancies for critical function for most of my first year. That causes us, yes, to have an increase on overtime, but we didn't fully expend on regular salaries, but there's some other things that did not go with that line. We always get this lesser rate on some of the things that we have to pay for. It is a whole combination. And the one thing that happens is our sales tax evaluation. We don't control that at all.
yeah.
So I yield. I don't know if there's any specific questions for Mr. Rodriguez or if there's something burning in your heart to say, sir.
I have a few questions. Let me know when it's a good time to jump in. I can wait.
Go for it, sir.
It's good. Okay. Really very, I think, straightforward, easy questions. One, maybe a little more discussion about. One is, do we have a timing expectation for when we'll know about the health insurance premiums?
We're almost at decision point, like literally.
Okay.
I plan on tomorrow sending the mayor what I've received from the broker.
Okay. Second question, EDC budget exists outside of the operations budget here, correct?
That's correct. The EDC
Okay.
budget is funded by sales tax, a portion of the sales tax.
Right. Third question, when we are considering the tax rate, to be clear, are we voting on the overall tax rate or the M&O rate in particular?
It is all of it. You will say a number for the M&O, which impacts the overall tax rate.
Understood, but if we said hypothetically the tax rate's going to be 31 cents, that would mean that M&O number is changing, right? Based on the INS, it would.
As long as INS changed, then that it will be a combination change where you make it whole at 31.
I believe you vote
Okay.
on I believe you're going to vote on the M&O tax rate and then also on the INS tax rate when that comes before you. And that'll make the aggregate tax rate calculation.
Got it. Thank you. And then the other question, and I think you've pointed this out, City Administrator, about the necessity of presenting a balanced budget. Every budget that's been presented to us, starting with the mayor's budget, is a deficit budget, right?
That's accurate.
So I guess I would ask for your thoughts. Are we looking at a structural deficit here that is going to impact us going forward, regardless of anything else regarding personnel changes or COLA and wage increases? Do you envision this or do you see this as a structural issue?
Everything that you have seen represents a structural deficit. None of it is my recommendation to you.
Okay.
But again, I mean, the question of the general fund we have that is so large right now, don't know. I mean, if we're gonna say that we only have to have 6 months in reserves, this leaves, and that's why the master plan is so important to me too, because I need to know that, if we have a deficit, why can't we take from the general fund if we're trying to, if we decide just to have a 6-month reserve or 8-month or whatever.
Right.
And
So that's
I don't
valid.
understand the
That's valid.
tactical moves on that.
If
So
I can.
I would interject to Council Member Caraway to say it's a fair point, but then we're locking in drawing from the reserves continuously to meet that structural deficit, and we have to be aware of what we're doing with that, as well as keeping in mind capital projects we may wish to want to fund. In some respects, they're
But
competing
I
for the
say-
same dollars.
But I say to that too, that if we are lagging in our salaries, then it would just be a one-time,
Every year.
take, well, not if we're trying to catch up that 1 year and we have the deficit.
I apologize, but I don't know that I agree with that on face value, because wages is a fixed cost and it does not go backwards. And
No.
unless we literally have hiring freezes at times to make sure that we can be balanced within our budget, or our sales tax performance exceeds what we anticipate, which we don't control. And so the way that the economy goes, I think I pointed out in the last meeting that we had sales tax that essentially, as an example, went up to $11 million performance in 1 year. The following year was $6 million. The following year was $6 million, then $5 million. But the year before, the 11 was like 3.8. And now we're at 4 million.
I understand that you're gonna go up every year on wages, but but it won't be that huge jump that it would be to make up the difference. I mean, you would be going up 3%, whatever is the COLA, you know, once you even out, you know, I don't know, I mean, I'm just throwing things out.
I'll yield to Mr. Rodriguez.
I may speak to that just a little bit. I think in what we're putting together and what we've been working through is, their projections. And right now, the two largest revenue sources in those projections are going to be the ad valorem side and the sales tax side. So since we have gotten valuations back, which have been certified in regards to the ad valorem, we have a pretty good handle on what that revenue would be if we held the tax rate at 31 cents or we did adjust it by 10%, what we could anticipate in regards, to revenues going into next year's budget. As we've been saying across the board, the sales tax is a little more volatile, for lack of a better way of defining it. But in regards to the fund balance you currently have, and if you did want to move over funds to, fund a portion of what is the operating budget, our approach and the approach that Henry's been defining the entire time, we've kind of ran through this exercise, is the biggest goal or nail that we're trying to hit on the head when we put this budget together is putting together an operating budget that just is funded by identified operating revenues. Those revenues being those ad valorems, being the sales tax, being the court fees, being what we see come out of development services. And if I overspeak here, please let me know. Y'all do have the ability to take money from that fund balance and put it into the operating budget to, account for an expenditure that at this time, if we don't feel that the projected revenues going into next year will be large enough. I guess that's what you're seeing. You're seeing a red number up there in whatever amount showing based on whatever scenario that our expenditures, whether it be at a 3%, 5% COLA, and at the anticipated insurance, increase, that we're going to be underfunded if we just operated off of incoming operating revenues. Now, I do think if that was a direction that y'all decided to make as a council, from where I sit, I would say try to mitigate or lessen the amount that you do infuse out of that reserve into the operating budget, because as Henry said, and as I'll say openly, the fear in doing that is if we put, I'll just identify a number, $500,000.
That's not a recommendation.
And it's not, no, it's not. It is most certainly not. No, but if you put $500,000 of y'all's reserve funds into an operating budget, and for some reason, one of those revenue streams is not as robust, specifically, you could say the sales tax, as you anticipate, you may see yourself needing to infuse next year even more capital, out of that, even more funds out of that reserve to fund what you anticipate the preceding year's budget and the preceding year's budget after that. You don't, from my point of view, it's about not getting too far in front of yourself in creating the operating budget to where, because it is a projection. We do have a comfort level in all the numbers we're putting out, and I don't think that's out of that's definitely a good line of thinking in regards to if you did want to infuse money. But if that is a way y'all chose to go, you'd want to do it in a very conservative manner, because ultimately the goal is always to let the operating revenues fund the operating expenditures. And that's kind of what the balance is.
And we should look at this not just as a municipality. This is a business. This is a corporation. And if a corporation does not have the revenues going forward, they start going backwards in the funds. Now, yes, according to the audit, we have 17.4. That's not the same number that we're at today. Be sure of that, right? Because we have made some transfers to capital and some other along the way, right? And so that number is going to continue to decrease overall. At some point, we collectively will set a real floor of where we would want our reserves to be, and meaning no less than for that account. Now, I look at this thing and I say, okay, sure, if there is a vote to infuse however much dollars into the operating, do you see your way out of that expense back under the revenues? Because if you don't, then you're going to continue to pay for that deficit out of your reserves, as well as your capital, as well as your 50-year celebration, as well as your whatever else that comes up, and you're just going to continue to reduce that number.
And I understand what you're saying, maintaining a deficit, that's going to be, the money goes fast, as we see with street repairs alone, so I get you. I just don't want to revisit this when we get the wage report. I think we need to decide this. We're going to basically have to decide without it. And then, of course, that would be good for next year's budget. I just don't see us coming back. I don't really like that idea too much, but I'm just saying I'm starting to feel that this study is just going to have to be for the following.
That was our anticipation from the start, from the professional side, period, full stop.
Yeah. So,
So the fire department asking 3 positions, but there's possibility of a grant. Do we have a timeline on that grant by chance, Scott? Well, we did this last year, right?
We do not have an anticipation on the grant. They have a timeline of when they make announcements. We don't know if we're going to be a yes or no. I will say this, and I've said it to the chief. Taking on positions under a grant, I'll tell you what my perspective is. You all can have your own independent perspectives, but have you ever looked at job ads that said grant funded?
Grants go away sometimes.
Grants go away. And unless we list it as grant funded, then what we're telling a future employee is that we plan on keeping you and or this position in perpetuity. Okay. Or until a certain decision is made to no longer support that position. So what I've said to you, Chief, is that taking on positions under a grant is a forcing mechanism to add to the professional staff number, period. And I don't have a great appreciation for that approach when we really believe we're gonna take it on full-time. So what we're doing is saying, okay, we'll get a little bonus. We'll get a little bonus from the grant. We'll bring on these 3 employees, 3 positions, and then we'll fund it later, kind of like what we did with ARPA. And that's why we saw that some numbers have changed from the operating budget standpoint, what we are now paying for, which we didn't pay for when ARPA covered it.
But also that grant could probably come back short of the employee total.
It diminishes over time. It's not we'll pay for the whole employee for 3 or 5 years. It is, we'll pay for year 1 at 100, or what, at year 1 at 100, year 2 at 80, year 3 at 60, year 4 at, that type of thing.
Year 4 doesn't have.
Right.
It's a 36-month grant.
Right.
And then the reclassification, I mean, there's no budget on that, or no, it's just.
Only one has $1.
Let me see, title and salary, that's the assistant director. Okay. Those are pretty good, I mean, all right.
So was there a deficit last year? in the
No, ma'am.
budget?
No.
Y'all had a zero, okay. Good
Zero-based
job,
budget.
Good job.
See what you've done? Zero-based budget without infusion from reserves.
Really?
We say it that way.
And y'all did the wage increase as well.
We did.
Yeah, we kept the tax rate.
We did. But let me say this. There's one, say again? Cost of living. Yeah, cost of
Not
living
wage,
allowance.
just COLA.
Right.
Oh,
Well, we did have 2 wage adjustments.
Yes.
Right,
thought you
so,
did.
but we have expenses on this year, operating budget, that were previously covered last year by ARPA,
oh, that's right.
which means we have less, we're spending more of our own money again,
That's right.
so.
All right, Dave, any? Greg, any comments? We try to wrap this up. Anybody have any direction for the staff?
Well, are we, the next opportunity to discuss this will be the August meeting, correct?
That's great, yes, sir.
Okay.
And I'll present more illustrations.
Yes, I think you'll have a hard number for the health side at that point as well.
That's my anticipation. Yes.
Right. I think that will help. And I was going to suggest a particular scenario that wasn't presented, but I can't put my finger on it. Give me just a second.
A true zero-based budget, I don't know if you're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad idea, but I'm also looking at the one that is on, I think it's 20, I'm sorry, the page numbers are all messed up here.
Was there a certain, just say what you're thinking, I'll find it.
Yeah, it had 11% for the health, but I think as you indicated, you know, whatever that health number is, plus a COLA in the 3 to 375 range, one of those. I just don't think that 11% is realistic, but I don't really know until we see it.
So I'll tell you that if I put a number on these slides for this meeting regarding the health, it is a number that has been talked about. with the
Okay.
board.
All right. Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
All right. So we're looking at August 13th and 27th, EDC on September, no. Yeah, then we got September 10th and EDC. Board approves theirs on September 16th, and then we take our final vote September 24th. And those numbers are.
These dates are provided to us. Well, this calendar is built based on the state's requirements and our meeting rhythm.
So we got 4 more, well, basically 3 more opportunities to hash this out.
The 2 September meetings, those are 2 final readings for the budget. So August should be synergistic for us towards a balanced budget of some type, whether it's a true revenue zero base or whether it's revenue plus an infusion. But that's a decision that we'll talk about.
We didn't make any changes after last August, I believe.
I can't say I remember. That's more than 3 days ago.
You had a power cord fire.
Literally.
But Mr. City Administrator, we have to present an actual tax rate budget at that first August meeting, that we have to lock something in, at least for discussion purposes at that point, correct?
We will be coming forward with you at the next August meeting. We should have the indication as to not only what the voter approval rate is, what the, in essence, we should have the tax rate information to present to y'all. And at that point in time, you know, we'll go ahead and show based on the two different scenarios y'all have seen so far, and then open it up to discussion based on, I guess, the guidelines that, or the, for lack of a better way of saying it, the ceiling that we've been given on all those not to exceed rates or voter rates.
And to be clear, it is my goal that for the August meetings, that you will have information in your packet at the time of posting.
Yes.
It may be adjusted, but my goal is to have information for you and the public in the packet. So these last few meetings, I won't tell you how long I worked on what, or how long we worked on what to get you information for the meeting. But all of this information, if you look back at what you got from the very first meeting through now, it's been building. So you're not getting true new information. You're getting updates.
Yeah.
And, you know, I took a minimalist approach. Yes, 45 slides is minimalist. 242 is the real number. So you didn't get all of that.
Oh my gosh.
So I yield.
You. All right, anything else? All right. That sounds good. And that's the end of the agenda. I say we call this meeting closed at 21:21. That's 9:21.
Night all.